So my game throughout the sport progressed as a direct counter to Andrew's because I was his drilling partner 24/7. Whatever he wanted to get good at stopping, I had no choice. I had to get good at doing it. So like I got good at De La Hiva and their footlocks because he got beaten at some tournament from someone holding De La Hiva with the lapel. We then did like 10,000s of him shutting down that move. Like, okay, my De La Hiva should be a lot better at that point anyways. So that's why I grew in those areas a lot more than others. So Andrew was a really big passer, so I became a guard player. And the times where he got really good at guard, I got a lot better at passing.
Welcome to Forever White Belt. I'm your host, Adolfo Ferranda. In this episode, we are joined by the insightful and candid Bird Wiltse, known for his unique approach to teaching and his journey through the highs and lows of the sport. Bird shares his experiences from competing on the world stage to his passion for creating instructional content. Join us as we explore the art of Jiu-Jitsu, the evolution of techniques, and the personal stories that have shaped Bird's path. And with that, I give you Bird Wiltse. Bird, welcome to the show, man.
How's it going?
Great. I'm so excited to have you on. Wow. This is really exciting for me to speak with you right now.
But just hearing that is kind of a funny thing because I've always just been like kind of the low-key guy.
Yeah, right. I guess it seemed like it. For years and years, I've seen you in just this slew of videos, whether you're, uke for your brother or like you're showing people how to bird lock, refine things. And now you have all kinds of new endeavors. But yeah, man. So how are you and how are things, man?
Good. Life is definitely vastly different than back then. I've moved on to a lot of other things. Like I work at the airport now, do like loss control surveying stuff. And at the same time, I'm trying to run a jiu-jitsu program and still make content with editing. And I'm a stepdad of 3. The time I used to have is just gone.
Yeah. And as for you video watchers out there, as you can see, Bird has become the dude right now with his robe on.
Yeah, it's for the first time it's cold in my house. So this is all I got right now.
Yeah. You got to make your way out to California where every day is like 75 degrees. You know what I mean? Eventually.
It's a good thing, but I have free flight benefits. It's one of the perks for working at the airport.
Wow. So please come to Northern California in San Francisco. I'll pick you up and you could do a seminar at the Academy. We would love to have you. Oh man,
I'm
that'd
always
be fantastic. I'm sincere about that, by the way. So Bird, a million questions here. I got to tell you, what comes to mind to me when I think about you, obviously, working with your brother and all that, the video work that you've done there. And your early days at Daisy Fresh and splintering off on your own as well. But when I think of you, I often, and I brought it up real quickly there, is I think of this video. You're working with this online personality guy. So I think you're refining or showing him the bird lock or maybe a Kyo lock or something. What I was amazed by more than anything was your ability to fix issues and to identify issues and to identify holes and where things are missing. Number one, obviously, with the amount of reps, you're going to be able to internally know physically and subconsciously what to do. It's another thing to articulate it.
So a lot of it this is going to sound really nerdy, but it comes down to physics in a sense. So there's pressures that go on whenever you do a move. Doesn't matter what move it is. A move either works or it doesn't. In every single move set, be it barambolos, footlocks, there's key factors that go into it to make it hit or break it. If those are missing, like if you're not grabbing the hips on bolo, you're not going to hit it. So when I'm teaching somebody and I have them do the move to me, I'm feeling the pressures that actually make it work. So then I just have to correct that to get them pretty much on the right path. Like even if you're just drilling with someone and you're doing a move and it doesn't feel like it's working, stop drilling it and think about why. Have them resist right in that spot you're having issues. Like if you're trying to pass and you feel like there's an opening there, say, hey, can you take advantage of this? And if they can, think about the problem and go back and try and fix it. What do you have to do to prevent them from doing that response? That mentality, it like helps you break down technique a lot better.
How did you come to develop that?
It's sadism.
Yeah.
I didn't always have the mind like this. A lot of my early career, I was just trying to turn my brain off to like survive the grueling rounds. But around purple belt, I started thinking, like when I started developing the footlock, I started diving into the nuance and like trying to figure out, okay, why does it work sometimes? I did a super fight where I was decent at footlocks, and I had the guy in it for like 10 minutes because I was so scared to let go and like get tired. And I thought I was good at footlocks back then, and I didn't finish the guy. I ended up winning off of like kind of bullshit reasoning because I didn't do anything. And later on, I had the same thing happen at the Nogi Pans where I did figure out the pressure, the difference between finishing them and not, and like just pulling the heel apart before you go outwards. I'm like, oh, I can figure that out in pretty much every moveset as long as I actually just take the time and think about why it failed, rather than just like throwing it up to flukes, like taking responsibility for my own actions. Even if they stop the move, it's my prerogative to figure out what I could do differently to stop it from stopping.
Also, obviously, when people think of you, they think of, the bird lock or what have you. And I mean, you seemed kind of early to it, or perhaps it wasn't as in vogue as it is now in terms of just the straight ankle lock and how just incredibly dangerous it is, especially Nogi, how these things have turned into like Aoki locks and Woj locks and all these things just from this, armpit sort of grip, and it used to be everyone was like leg lock meta and heel hooks. Everyone thought, oh, this is a white belt move, this straight ankle lock in essence. And everyone sort of poo-pooed it. It was, I wouldn't say poo-pooed it, but it just wasn't a big tool in the arsenal. And now it's just, what is it like for you to see the evolution of that?
So it's actually pretty crazy. But when I was starting to do footlocks, it was in that stage back then where nobody did them correctly. And so no one respected them. Like I remember when I first figured it out, I went with Spatchy and I only went after footlocks. I like happened to tap out Andrew like 3 times in one round from it. I was like, oh shit, maybe I can get good at this. Because that doesn't happen. So then I focused on it, went with Spatchy a ton, and then as I got better at it, their defense to it got better. Good luck tapping Spatchy out now to it for luck. So whenever I would travel to gyms, though, no one would like show the details or just the typical straight ankle lock that make it actually work. They would all show the same stuff, like catch the toes, bend it backwards, but that doesn't make it work against someone flexible or tough.
What are like the typical holes or mistakes that people are making with that?
They're trying to bend the toes more than trying to separate the tendons. Like if this is the ankle, I try and pull it both apart first, just with like retraction pressure before I go up and out and like try and flex it. So basically you're trying to pop the tendons or that bone area. But if they're flexible, just stretching it doesn't do anything. You have to pull it apart and make the tendons already taut before you go. I love how people have kind of skipped going over the normal straight ankle lock and they found a bunch of ways to just get the pressure to tap them anyways, like kicking over the knee to make it so it doesn't matter how flexible, you can still just crank it further.
Mm-hmm. Where are you training now?
Just at like a little gym with some buddies. Like we only have classes twice a week where I'm basically teaching the classes and trying to get some rolls without throwing my back out, doing cardio on my own time. So when like 4 years ago when Andrew first had that manic episode, I fell off of jiu-jitsu completely. Like I stopped training. Like the stress just got to me. I just committed to video editing and like doing the career path. I was making a shit ton of money. I wasn't worried about what shape I was in. So it's been like 4 years since I've actually gotten to the point where I could roll for 20 minutes.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because there was all of this content and all this stuff, and then suddenly there's this gap of like, where did it go? So can you walk us through what was happening, the zenith, and then how things have tapered down, and then there was chaos, and you've regrouped, and now you're building something, which is interesting too.
So I don't remember what year it was. My memory is honestly blurry about the first Manic episode. Like that was one of the worst points of my life. That was insane. But prior to that, we were making just unbelievable amounts of money from the Patreon, the YouTube, the instructionals. So we were like at our peak, and Andrew was getting all these ideas, just like committing to making as many instructionals as possible with good quality. And we were like going to renovate our garage, make our own little studio. And then he just completely lost his mind. After that, like 6 months went by before he became normal and I recouped. Like I cut everybody off, including Andrew. And I moved out into the little barn in the yard and just didn't talk to anybody until my head was better. So we got back into video making and like kind of had a couple viral videos about when the legal court case happened with someone breaking their neck. So like we kind of got big into the YouTube scene again. And then he went into a depressive phase where he just completely stopped everything. So I was like, fuck. We had enough passive income coming in for like 6 months where I was like, okay, we'll get back into this and we'll pick the career back up. There's the ups and downs. And it just he never got back into it. So I started doing work like DoorDash, delivering for Spark and whatnot. Started making good money, being able to pay the bills like that. And then another 6 months went by and still nothing on his end. I'm like, all right, I can't do this anymore. I got into a really bad car accident, like 70 miles an hour on the highway. So insurance actually paid the car back. So I was able to take like half the money from that. So half of it went to Andrew, half of it went so I could buy my own car and just kind of move out. So I was going to move out, and then in 2 weeks at this point. And then Andrew started messaging me where he's like, hey, do you think I'm having a manic episode? And I'm like reading the signs. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of getting pretty likely. You probably should take a step back and chill out. And then he did the aggressive mania, which this is what's a build up to the serious episode where he burned everything. And I just moved out that day. I just got out of there. I saw the signs. I'm like, hey, I'm going to move out anyways in 2 weeks. I'll just go now for my own safety. So that's when it started building up and just going off the walls. So now here I am in Kearney.
So where's Kearney?
Kearney, Nebraska.
Oh, wow, you're in Nebraska now. Okay.
Yeah.
That's wild. Yeah, I think the last podcast I think I could find you on was maybe 2022 or something. Yeah, and I'm like, where did this guy go? You're a wealth of knowledge. You've always been like a plus for the community, it seems like.
I always planned on getting back into it. It's just like I had to stabilize myself and become financially stable completely on my own.
Especially after all that windfall that was happening in that moment. And then for it to stop suddenly, like so many of us now are, scrambling for work. It's pretty incredible.
At that time, I didn't want to fuck with jiu-jitsu. I need something else. I need to clear my head. I need a lot of time. Let's see, I moved down here in about October of last year. So it's getting about a year it's taken me to like, okay, took 6 months, started making content again. And then the summer started. I'm like, okay, I'm going to have free time. No, the kids are out of school. No, I'm not.
So let's talk about some of the competing days. What was that like for you? Prepping for competition, competing against heroes or people perhaps you thought you never would before, or training with them because you've rubbed elbows with everyone, it seems like.
Obviously, I enjoy training a hell of a lot more than competing. There's different personality types that can just walk onto the mat and like just full go ahead. I'm not one of those. I get such an extreme anxiety that I can only mentally think in terms of stuff I've drilled the shit ton. That's why I look really one-dimensional when I compete or whenever I'm nervous. I have to fall back onto what I've really broken down because there's no more thought in my head. The few times where I've been like clear-headed in a tournament, I've just beat people that normally I wouldn't be able to.
Mm-hmm. It seems like you did like tons of prep beforehand.
Yeah, but not in a healthy way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because overtraining, I think Emma Bruntel actually just did a little bit on this about you do so much to get ready and like you're doing all this cardio and you're just beating your body down. You're in good shape. You get to a tournament and you're just tired. And you got nothing in the gas tank anymore because you've sucked it out of your body. Like there's not much smart training. Like Andrew was like a slave driver at that point too. So
right.
My body was always fucked up.
Yeah, it's fascinating because when I talk to like a lot of the Danaher guys, they say, pre-comp or comp, they're going easy.
Yeah, that's what we wanted to do, but like that's the pressure to go hard at PSF was so high.
Yeah, it seemed like it.
Even if everyone was saying, oh, yeah, take it easy, you would still have that mental pressure. Like, I need to not be a bitch and just go hard.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it seemed like a meat grinder for sure when I would observe what they were doing there. Which, sometimes, it often, creates those diamonds, like your brother.
I'm actually like writing a script talking about how it's actually beneficial if you want to be in a competition for that in the situation where if you're going to compete, you want that kind of culture in your blood so you're not as nervous. Like, oh my God, if I didn't have that, I probably would have had a heart attack on the mat just from sheer nerves.
It's funny how different people respond to different types of pressures. What season in life are you in right now?
The wizened old man that just likes his peace.
I dig that, man. You're the sensei mouse on the riverside there just watching.
I still want to do all this shit and like I want to go back into competition because my mind is a completely different place than what it used to be, but it's hard. Like I only have so much time in a day to do all this and my brain is usually burnt out from all the other aspects of my life now. You get that combined with my back's tendency is a spasm where it just gives out for 2 weeks.
Wow, guest, that was really interesting. But did you know, throughout history, salt has been highly valued and commonly used as currency. Warriors and sailors were sometimes given rations of salt for their wages. If they were worthy, they were said to have earned their salt. Salt Electrolytes drink mix is designed for today's warriors, athletes, and those who get after it and work up a sweat regularly. If you're eating healthy, drinking plenty of water, and working out, you need to replenish your electrolytes. With a light, refreshing flavor, salt is great to drink during your workout because it will not coat your mouth with a thick film. Salt contains 6 different electrolytes, with a touch of iodine to help maintain a healthy thyroid. No sugar, no color, no BS. Go earn your salt. And on top of that, if you use code FWB, how much should we give you off? 5%? 10%? Nah, 15%, just because we're friends. Now go get it. Salt electrolytes. You're one of those. How's your body holding up besides your back? What are your old injuries?
It's mostly just my knees and my back, honestly.
Does that restrict you from like you're saying you have to take time? Oh, okay.
Absolutely. Like, if I don't respect my back, like I didn't respect it about 3 weeks ago. I was finally getting to the point where I could roll for the full hour. So we shifted the schedule a little bit and did back-to-back days. And I was like, I can probably do it. I'm in good shape now. So I did both days, rolled for the full hour, which was like a new marker stone for me. I've been out of shape for a very long time.
As I mentioned before, years ago when I saw this video, I could identify that you're very good at instruction and teaching in general. How has that developed?
So there's 2 methods of teaching, well, 3 actually, where you kind of have to approach it in different ways. There's instructionals, where you're just trying to figure out how you can communicate the information for everybody to understand it, the most general populace, both at high level and the low level. So if you go too in depth into a technique, only the tisms will really get a lot out of it. You got to figure out kind of both, make it entertaining. And same for YouTube videos. Hold someone's attention, get them the good knowledge, the game-changing details. And then there's the kind of step down from that where you're teaching class or a seminar, where you can go into a lot more detail, because at a seminar, if you pick up 1 or 2 details that change your game, you don't need to know everything else. This is a marathon, not a race. Any progress you make is a win. But in privates is when you should expect them to like revolutionize your style in that 1 or 2 hours, because they are focusing just on you. So it's, as an instructor, I found the best way is to kind of have the stick in front of the horse. I've like figuring out a way to get them to learn the technique themselves and like just guiding them through that. You don't typically remember when someone says, okay, you have to do this. But if you are the one technically figuring out the process, oh, if I move their hips like this, that is now a very high priority in your brain. You're going to be going after that one thing because that's what makes it work. And you kind of figured it out yourself. So it's kind of a tricky battle. It's different for every private because other people learn better or worse, and you can go into a lot of detail or less. But that's the way I've found to really solidify technique to people.
What makes a great student?
Someone that actually wants to learn, like someone that has goals in the sport, isn't just there to be there, I guess, isn't just there the friends. They like the technique aspect of it. It's really just about engaging your brain to the moment. Because if you're distracted about the divorce going on, you're not there. Reasonably so, but in that moment, you're not going to be a good student. You need to be able to figure out how to get yourself to attach to the moment, or the instructor has to figure out a way to get you to engage with the moment, to get those gears turning enough to learn.
You've seen your share of gyms, probably great gyms, horrific gyms, or whatever it may be, and all in between. What makes a great gym culture, and how do you think, what are the ones that are doing it right? You know, what are they doing differently? What are the deltas?
That's complicated because every person in every gym have their own goals and motivations. Like some gyms just want to make money, and that will trickle down through whatever your leader personality is, that's going to rub off on everybody in the gym. So if you're curious what the leader is like, look at his gym members. If they're all trying to win in competition, you can see where your leader's motivation is at. If none of them really give a fuck, then that will show also. So if you're just looking for a place to train and have friends and have buddies, that's fine. Like that's a good culture to have. But if your goal is to be a competitor, you don't want to be in that environment because they're not going to like you going super, super hard. So it's kind of hard to say what's a good environment versus a bad. A bad environment is obviously one that only cares about money, doesn't allow cross-training, got these weird fucking punishment systems.
What makes a great instructor?
Someone that both is able to break down their technique and communicate it, and someone who's not able to just teach it one-dimensionally, someone that can read their students to know when they're picking things up and how to change their approach when they're not. It's kind of like someone teaching kids. Not everybody learns the same, and you have to direct your approach to every individual. If you can't do that, then you need to figure out how you communicate your technique. Like I heard that Leandro Lo was actually not a good teacher, even though he was the best in the world ever. because he was so good at what he does, but he wasn't like cognitively aware of it. Like when he would show technique, he would have a thought process of, oh, you just got to do this, this, and this. And then he would pay attention to what he was actually doing. And he was doing a lot of little things on the side to make it truly work. Like knowing what those little things are and communicating them are more important than just being the best. And that actually shows in people's instructionals too.
It seems like a lot of people associate you with obviously the bird lock. What are other parts of your game that are often overlooked that you
There's
enjoy?
some moves in full guard that I've never seen anybody do that are, to me, like a 99% sweep ratio.
So when you say full guard, closed guard is what you mean?
Yeah.
Or okay.
Yeah, closed guard, either they stand up or not. Like it's not a hard sweep to get into. And I remember I never got to do it in competition because like when I figured it out, I was already kind of like tapering off, and I would show it to people at PSF and then they would do them and they would have success with it. And they're like, dude, this is awesome. But it's kind of one of those things that most people don't know about. I've never seen someone else do it in competition. And it kind of sucks because ankle locks are very gimmicky. You can be the best in the world, but the entries are so much lower percentage than the submissions themselves. And like if your entry isn't perfect at times against really good guys, you're just not going to be able to finish it because you won't get into the position fast enough before they've resisted it in the way that yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Closed guard is a position where you can almost always get into no matter how good the guy is. There's tricks you can do. You can jump guard. You can usually find a way to get into there. And I just didn't do it in competition at that point. Like I was good at flower sweeps and stuff, but those can be very hard against someone good too, which they're worth their weight in gold. But
yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. I was speaking to another black belt, Michael Courier out of Arizona. Now he's in Germany. Fantastic instructor. And he's like, the first thing I check on people or often gauge people by is their flower sweep, right? Or their pendulum sweep.
yeah.
And it's just
Well, if
fascinating.
that's your gauge, then everyone's going to suck.
Really? Wow. Well, so tell us, what are we doing? You typically see holes with those movements.
Majority of the places I've go that teach the pendulum sweep, because it's actually called that, is they just kick out and kick their legs. Like they swing their hips out and just try and kick the person over, and that's not good enough. You have to have a hand behind their collar to control their posture, to be able to turn it, to push them up, to get your hips out. And if you reach through and you grab their sleeve, you now have a way to elevate their hips without kicking them over. Like you reaching through, grabbing their shoulder anywhere along their arm is one of those tricks that make it so much easier. Then you want to just really rotate your hips out, like not just kick so it's straight up and down. You want it to almost like you can kick over for an armbar or a triangle, like ass up all the way in there and just pick their hips up while going over. It's more important like to control their posture to get their hips out, and it's more important to control their sleeve or have that like their leg and hips resting on your shoulder to pick their hips up.
Just a reminder to please give us a 5-star review on Apple Music and Spotify, and become a VIP member for only 99 cents a month. Get ad-free episodes at anchor.fm/foreverwhitebelt/subscribe, and check us out on Instagram at Forever White Belt Show. Go buy your Forever White Belt swag at teespring.com/forever-white-belt. Check us out on YouTube now at Forever White Belt. Finally, if you ever get to beautiful Northern California, please come roll with us at North Bay Jiu-Jitsu in Marin County, just north of San Francisco. They're amazing instructors, and everyone there are great people. Mention the podcast and get 2 weeks free. So what have you been playing with as of late? It sounds like close guard?
A lot of no-gi, unfortunately. In the area I'm at, it's all like amateur MMA stuff, so no one gives a fuck about the gi here.
Really? Wow.
Yep. And that's all I love is the gi.
Wow, no kidding.
In the no-gi, I would say I'm like mid-tier competitive blue belt. But in the gi, like all my shit comes into play.
That's so interesting to hear that about your area too, because I was riding off the gi because for a while there, because of all the early Gordon hype and everything, everyone just was thinking no-gi. And
there's more money in it.
Yeah, professionally, right? But the more I anecdotally talk to academy owners, gi is still huge in their programs. And it's their bread and butter, really.
Gi is more casual friendly. So for an academy, you're going to make a lot more on anything that panders more to the casuals. No gi, it's a very athletic-based sport system. So if you're athletic and you can squeeze hard, you're probably going to be decent at it. And I'm not an athlete.
Well, that's why I often say, there's a reason we don't see wrestling schools on every corner. And
yeah, it's fucking hard.
Even judo schools on every corner, right?
Yeah, you're standing up, you're throwing, there's a lot of impact to it. In the gi, even just passing in the gi, you have a way to solidify it rather than like bouncing, trying to hold them down.
Yeah. It seems like, and perhaps it's just me, strength plays much more of a factor in the gi because it seems like all that isometric strength and the strong grips really factor
It's
in.
more important for your baseline and nogi because those are you need isometric strength to solidify anything in nogi. But if you have that in the gi, you can take that skill ceiling a lot higher still. Like you can lock someone down better in the gi than you can in the nogi, but you still need it for nogi just to lock them down at all.
Your style early on as you evolved, is your game more of like a counter puncher type of game? Were you more offensive orientated, defensively orientated?
My game at white belt, it was just run and jump and close guard as hard as I could.
Yeah, sure.
Back then, you were allowed to. So my game throughout the sport progressed as a direct counter to Andrew's because I was his drilling partner 24/7. Whatever he wanted to get good at stopping, I had no choice. I had to get good at doing it. So like I got good at De La Hiva and their footlocks because he got beaten at some tournament from someone holding De La Hiva with the lapel. Like I was, we then did like 10,000s of him shutting down that move. Like, okay, my De La Hiva should be a lot better at that point anyways. So that's why I just kind of grew in those areas a lot more than others. So Andrew was a really big passer, so I became a guard player. And the times where he got really good at guard, I got a lot better at passing.
And how has your passing progressed? Because I find that seems to be difficult for a lot of people is passing in general.
I love passing in the gi. There's so many like if I have the gas tank, I feel like I can pass a lot of people. Not the best, I'm not gonna say that, but like the style of passing I had developed when I was in my prime was legit in the gi. No gi, if you didn't have a knee slice open, I couldn't pass you it.
What about in the gi? Yeah, what are your go-tos?
Basically, you start off throwing the legs, and I'd be looking to counter any movement that you would do, and so it would just be a constant buzzsaw chain of. So I move your legs out of position a little bit, move stuff of that. I'm taking your legs forwards, back. It's so much more fun to live in that like bursty moment where, as long as I initiate it and don't give you a chance to lock me down, I'm playing off of every reaction you're having and just not giving you a chance to get back in the game. That's my favorite style of passing in the gi, but it takes so much energy. I remember at Blue Belt, I was fighting this kid that had won the he got second at the Blue Belt Worlds, and he told me that he got DQ'd for leg dragging someone so hard they got knee barred and tapped
Whoa.
and he got DQ'd. I was like, yeah, I don't know if that was true or not, but at the time, the refs had just fucked over Andrews so hard that I believed it. I hadn't medaled at the Worlds at that point, so I was like, oh, this guy's probably way better than me. And I just beat them passing. I was up on points. I just tapped him out in Nashville. I was like, awesome. So then I fought him again in Chicago in the semifinals. And, I'm up on points. I've passed him, and then he regarded, and there's like a minute left. And I remember his coach saying, he's slowing down. He's tired. I'm like, yeah, no shit. But like, we're both dead on the mat. Neither of us can barely move because we just laid it all out there. Thankfully, like my passing at that point was good enough to get me the win.
Right on. I'm curious, how's your personal perspective of jiu-jitsu evolved over the years?
Jiu-jitsu goes through phases. Like you were saying with the footlocks, they get really high and prominent, but most of the movesets in jiu-jitsu have been figured out. Like Marimbolos, they go through ups and downs of popularity. Remember, like 10 years ago, Majid had popularized the baseball bat joke, and everyone expected it, got good at shutting it down. Give it a few more years, that's going to come back into the meta. All it takes is someone good to start hitting some good people with it, and it'll make its waves again. So like techniques go really popular, and then the counters get really popular, so they go back down, and it just goes through ups and downs.
Can you give us any aha moments?
My biggest one was figuring out like the little detail about how to break the ankle. Like I was saying earlier, you want to pull the ankle apart before you go for the submission. So like I'm trying to get the full ankle here so I can pinch this hard enough, and any retraction is actually pulling this apart. People often tap to just that, but if you don't do that on someone good, they will not tap ever. They're just too flexible. It's like you're taking a rubber band and you're stretching it out so much that it'll pop once you go for it. I love teaching that to people because like it's such an easy thing to teach, and you immediately have the person go to like say a 50% ratio with hitting their ankle locks to like a 80 to 90%.
Can you tell me a time that you wanted to quit and why jiu-jitsu?
Oh yeah, I would probably say the biggest part was, you get demotivated and burn out. I tore my tendons in my shoulder like early purple belt. So I got my purple belt. I did good at Chicago. I think I got second in the Nogi Open. I completely tore from here to here half my tendons. So there's a big bulge here. that will never go away. So I got a surgery done, but it wasn't to repair the tendons. It was to shave the bone spur that was in there that was pushing up on my tendons. I still have one here. So this arm is permanently weaker, and this is unfortunately my active arm in jiu-jitsu. I did all the ankle lock stuff with this arm post-surgery. Nogi pants, where I got second at purple belt, I hadn't trained for like 2 months. So I was so disgustingly out of shape. And I got a cortisone shot, I believe, the day before flying out. So it takes like 5 days for it to kick in, anywhere from 3 to 5 days. So I do the tournament, and in the finals, my arm goes, I physically am unable to move it anymore while trying to crank on an ankle lock. And like I had already popped it a little bit, like his ankle. And I don't know if I was going to get the tap. I didn't know some of the details I know now. So I was so out of shape, I was throwing up in my mouth. My arm had given out, and I couldn't physically move it whatsoever. And like I got the puke under control, and I came to basically to him on my back about to choke me, like actively choking me. I'm like, yeah, tap.
Yeah.
I've got nothing left. I'm sorry. I'm happy with my placement. So the next day, I'm like, oh, my shoulder feels awesome. I can move it. Motherfucker, it kicked in, like the cortisone shot. And then, like, as soon as that wore off, however long those last, a month or 3 months, it just, same shit. I could barely lift it anymore. So that's why I had to get the surgery done. Because every time I lifted it above my head, the bone spur was still, like, cutting into the tendons.
Wow. Can you give me a non-jiu-jitsu fondest childhood memory?
Honestly, most of them probably involve video games. I was a very not social kid when it comes to my school. I didn't like most of the people there. I mean, you know, in a class of 12 people, you're not going to hate too many people or like truly like too many people, but I just wasn't a very social person, so most of my fond memories came from playing video games with Andrew.
You know, it's interesting that you mentioned the small classroom because I know early on I put my daughter when she was very small into a private school, thinking, she's going to get a lot of one-on-one and smaller class size and this and that. But what we found is, especially with girls, is that they tend to pair up, right? And so if you have a small class size, you have fewer people to select from. So
Yep.
it kind of puts a stress on sort of the social situation and social development. And so we quickly realized we need to pull her out and put her in a public school where there's a larger population so that the social development can occur better.
I remember being a kid and just dreaming about going to a big school because of that exact reason. Not having many kids I could connect with sucked. So like, I just remember dreaming, like, if this is a bigger school, I'm sure I could find a couple people to, like, really connect with.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was something that I definitely am very lucky that I went to public school with a lot of kids, because then I could find my weirdo Dungeons and Dragons friends, and then my,
Man, that's something I've always wanted to do.
athletic friends, and then, whatever. So I was like an ambassador that can experiment with being social.
Like, I'm, like, fairly, I don't want to say I'm actually autistic, but I'm very socially awkward, or used to be very socially awkward. Like, I can play the game now, like, I had to develop that skill, but I used to get so much social anxiety just from going out and talking to people that I wouldn't do it. Like, video games were my way of connecting to people until I did jiu-jitsu and bounced at the bar for a few years and, like, was given the opportunity to grow that aspect of myself.
Wow. Yeah, that's surprising, because when I hear it on podcasts and on videos and things like that, you're really good at it.
It is literally all a developed skill through trial and error, like fucking up social interactions so many times that I now like have like a flow chart in my head that finally has been ingrained in myself enough that it's normal. I used to have to plan out every single interaction, but it's like now I see people that are like that. I'm like, just figure it out. Go embarrass yourself a ton of times. Go make a fool of yourself. Figure out what works and then build off of it.
For you, someone especially that has been through the meat grinder of jiu-jitsu and put themselves in some of the toughest rooms, how do you get the new white belt hobbyists through the first month, assuming they have a good attitude or humble, etc.?
I try and ask them like what their goals are going into it. Because if their goals are to be a competitor, they have to go through the meat grinder. If their goals are just to train, have fun, meet a bunch of guys, awesome. Sit out a few rounds. Don't kill yourself. Just enjoy the atmosphere and make friends.
Mm-hmm.
Engage with the atmosphere, but just be there. You're still appreciated. If you're there for cardio, push yourself, but don't break yourself.
I think a lot of people, it seems like they'll walk in and they're just like, hey man, I just want to do some martial arts. They don't even know what jiu-jitsu is oftentimes.
That's fair, but they should, well, I'm very big on like not destroying yourself now, but they should just dive in, see if they like it. If they're interested in the martial art as themselves, they have to accept that they're going to get hurt at some time, and that's just a reality. So go train hard.
You mentioned now you're at this point of like not wanting to destroy yourself. Was there a time that you would have been the opposite? Someone walks in and you're like, hey, man, you got to destroy yourself.
No, me and Andrew are always big on like, yeah, don't kill yourself training because we were so riddled with injuries that we couldn't now compete or train the way we wanted to. Like you still have to be smart about your hours, and the earlier you start to do that, the better.
I'm glad you mentioned and it's surprising in a way that you and Andrew had this mindset of not destroying yourselves.
Okay, well, he was really bad about actually following through on that mindset.
Right. Yeah, well, physically, you know what I mean? I remember seeing some video of his where he was doing things like sprints and this type of conditioning, which I thought was great. I'm like, this is fantastic ideas.
Because jiu-jitsu is not a marathon. It's basically the truest sprint interval training that there is. In jiu-jitsu, you go from explosive all-out motions to like calm, close guard holding it where you're barely maintaining pressures. So you really want to focus on your interval training. If you want to even last in the sport, you don't get injured typically when you're full of energy, unless it's a serious injury. Like that's when the breaks happen. But the little things that build up over time, like throwing your back out or like just stupid ones like catching something, tweaking something, those happen when your body are exhausted. So if you are able to build your body up through sprint interval training where you can now have energy throughout, like your muscles full of energy throughout a roll, you're much, much less likely to get injured.
When you think of like most or underrated jiu-jitsu practitioners, historical or otherwise, who comes to mind?
Jonathan Thomas is one of them. He's one of the best. He did really good in competition. He was one of the first ones where he would go over a technique that I had developed myself. I was like, yes, validation. I would say that one of the other, Clay Mayfield, he was very underrated for a long time, but the motherfucker has gotten like second at the black belt pans in worlds at this point. The dude's awesome. During the Daisy Fresh series, he kind of got not included in it whatsoever, but the dude won the super fights we were at. He's always done really good in competition.
Yeah. I thought I'd always hear a lot more about Clay because he's definitely one of those standouts. And if you're really watching the game.
Yeah. He's beaten some of the best people.
Yeah. I think I've reached out to him before. Clay, come on the show. Come on, man. Let's make this happen. So your thoughts on seminars? We talked about it before, how we'd love to have you out for a seminar, but
I love teaching seminars.
Yeah. Can you talk about how seminars are providing value or not providing value?
I think they're so good for the sport. Andrew's knee slice was based off of a seminar from Jonathan Thomas.
Oh, wow.
Way in the early days, he did a seminar at PSF, and he was showing knee slice stuff, and Andrew caught him doing a detail that he didn't talk about, and that became the fundamentals, well, plus the stuff he was showing with the knee slice, became the fundamentals for all of Andrew's knee slice's stuff. That almost all came from Jonathan Thomas. So, like, his seminar completely built the foundation that Andrew built his game on.
Fascinating.
So, like, seminars are huge. And it was just like a couple details that completely revolutionized the technique. So if you're bringing in good guys that know their shit, that they're good teachers, you can make a whole career for your students based off of that information. Like that literally changed his life. It changed the whole career path of PSF, that one seminar.
Wow.
My way of learning something is I'll have someone show me their move, and then I'll tell them, okay, be quiet. Can you just do the move to me?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm paying attention to what's happening. Like in a knee slice, there's a way of scooping the knee out, the bottom knee with their knee. So I'm like, my focus is on there so I can feel how he's doing it. And then I can just replicate that.
Yeah, I've seen you do that. And I thought that was really fascinating too. And it kind of touches on my question of the aha moment. I mean, like you said, that Jonathan Thomas comes there to Pedigo, and then there you go.
The aha moment should come from seminars. And yeah, as a academy owner, you can get a lot more students being like, hey, look at all the cool people we're bringing in. But I see it as the technical aspect of the sport. They're providing you with these details you can't get from other places. Like people would bring in Andrew for his knee slices details because he had taken that up so far. Like if you want footlocking details, you could go to Mikey Musumaki. Like there's a ton of good footlockers out there.
Now, speaking of Mikey, I've heard you mention before something about anticipating movements before you make yours.
Yeah. He was one of the people that was just so much like him and Kolabate were just better than me, flat out. I rolled with Mikey Musumaki and he was just mentally ahead of me. And typically that doesn't happen. Like I usually get athletic to get beaten.
Yeah.
But like with Kolabata, he was just fucking ahead of me. Mikey Musumaki, like they were just They knew the game better. They saw little details I was doing wrong and capitalized on it before I could even react.
Wow. Yeah, no, I do notice that when you watch those guys, their decision tree is just so instantaneous. As you mentioned, it's just so incredibly fast.
I remember Mikey Musumeci passed me, like, did a back chase to me that I didn't even know was possible. I was like, okay.
Yeah, he was interesting. He often reminded me of your brother.
Yeah. Dude, they clicked so well.
Really, yeah.
They had very, at those times, very similar philosophies to training and approaches, at least on paper. Just Mikey was so much better to, like, actually incorporating it.
What are your future goals?
You know, I want to make a living doing instructional seminars and being a part of the sport. Like, I'd love to make content. I've been in such a weird perspective in life. I went from living on ramen to suddenly making 20 grand a month back to living off of like paycheck to paycheck. So like I've gotten weird perspectives on that. I'm fully confident that I can make a career in almost anywhere I go. Like it's just seeing like which one really where the door opens. Like if I have to make a name for myself competing, that will be hard just because of how broken my body is. I've never liked competing. I pride myself on my aspect as a teacher rather than a competitor.
Yeah. I mean, you have a name. I don't think, contrary to some of the opinion, I don't think competition is all that necessary for some people.
No, it's not. Like, there's gyms that make a fortune with nobody having competitive success.
And online jiu-jitsu personalities as well. Yeah.
That's why I'm trying like to branch out into YouTube content.
One of the things I want to know is, how'd you learn to tie your belt?
I did not. So everyone online, I just saw a post about it. It's like, oh, some dude did something really shady and belted himself up to purple belt. And everyone's like, this retard doesn't even know how to tie his belt. I'm like, I wanted to put, okay, yeah, this sucks that you did that, but you don't need to know how to tie your belt to be a world champion. Me and Andrew just wrap it and knot it. So there's actually a reason for that, though. So when you're in a decision, and we talked about this a lot at PSF, who gets the win if it's tied and the matches were close? The guy that's fumbling around with his belt trying to tie it all pretty, or the guy that gets it tied and he's fucking waiting for the ref to hold his hand? Do you want to be pretty or do you want to win? Pretend you're not tired. You're going off the ref's discretion, and he can make it off of arbitrary bullshit like whoever's just ready faster. That stuff matters. So no, I just tie it a knot and make it functional.
So Bird, let's talk about your online offerings. You got all kinds of stuff now. You have Leveling Up Closed Guard, which I think is your newest Fanatics Instructional. And then the Bird Lock system, it's a classic BJJ Fanatics Instructional. You have a Patreon. You have your YouTube channel. Can you talk about all these things?
So first I want to mention, like, I think I made the Footlock Instructional at the tail end of Andrew's first Manic episode.
Wow.
So like I used that as my escape to like pour the details out into it. Like that was my escape from the chaos every day.
Wow.
So yeah, that's actually a fond memory for me for a very bad time. But yeah, I have the Patreon. I'm not as proactive with it right now because of the 3 months of the summer. I have to focus on the family and business and all that. And Anna was prepping for a bodybuilding competition. So imagine you're cutting weight for a competition for 3 months. I had to be there and present to help with all that. So I took a break from all of that until now.
Just for context for the listener watcher, Anna is who?
My fiance. She's a personal trainer, which has helped me go from 150-pound scrawny boy to about 170 healthy, strong, higher personal trainer. I have the Patreon, I have the YouTube channel, I have my social medias.
So it's good to see that you're reconnected with Fanatics and you have, a new instructional. Can you talk about that instructional?
I was talking about closed guard earlier, about there's some move sets that I haven't seen people pull off anywhere else. Like I have one like Houdini, I call it, to get out of closed guard so you're behind them and wrestling up, so you kick up out and over their leg. Like you're going underneath for a flower sweep and you push them away with your legs and you just kick up behind them. So now you're behind them and wrestling. There's that. There's I suck at naming, so I call it just the bird sweep or the bird flip, where I don't know how to describe it. So I have a version of it on the YouTube, but yeah, I went over it hopefully a lot better in the instructional. So I go over ways to develop the muscles in those positions. But I also have her talk about like how to develop those muscles in the gym setting. And then pretty much as I could go over as I could in closed guard, trying to get all the details I know out there, including breaking down the flower sweep in depth and the super flower sweep, which to me is the pendulum sweep. Because the flower sweep is the Leandro Low
which a lot of people need to go back and visit Leandro Lo. A lot of you kids nowadays don't know who he is. That's a shame.
He won everything. He was one of the goats.
Yeah, totally, man. What is it like for you to watch like that, like Pixley with Marigali or whatever it may be?
That was fun. Like seeing someone like Pixley go out onto the main stage and actually make a name for himself is awesome. Like for the longest time, it was just Andrew.
Yeah, he was it.
I think for a 6-year span, the only person to win above blue belt was Andrew and me, because I had won the blue belt worlds. And then it was many, many years, like past the Daisy Fresh documentary, that anybody else was able to medal at those tournaments. And now they've won the no-gi worlds multiple times, like at the adult division, not just the novice.
And then you see people like Dante Leon.
Dante's always been a killer.
Yeah, he's incredible.
He was just already world-class before he even came in.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Well, Bird, where can we get more information about you and everything that you're up to, man?
Well, I'm going to be posting, I'll always make some instructional content on YouTube and Patreon. I release early on Patreon, and I also release bits and parts of what I'm working on to the Patreon before it's released to YouTube. When I'm done with this script, which I've spent multiple days on, I'll release that to the Patreon before even recording. If you want to follow my actual life, you would just follow me on Instagram.
Okay, and we'll add all that information and all the links and everything that Bird mentioned in the show notes. I'm your host, Adolfo Fronda. Thanks for watching, listening out there. Very much appreciate it. Remember to subscribe, join the VIP, and it's only 99 cents a month. We got the merch. We're working on extending that stuff out. And thanks again, Bird, man. Great having a conversation with you. Thanks so much for making the time.
I suppose I'll shamelessly plug. I am open for seminars.
Plug away. All right, you guys. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much.